everybody. Hi, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm happy to be back in my own kitchen after being on the road for 3 months. We're back here in our little villa in Washington State where we're gonna be for the summer. So today, in honor of Mother's Day, I'm gonna share with you a French recipe, Crepe Suzette. Now, again, with French food, people always think it's gonna be so difficult, and it really isn't. The crepes might take a tiny bit of practice. You might have to do a couple before you get them the way you want them, but they're really not hard. They're just basically pancakes, a lot thinner. So, and that's the key to the batter. It has to be almost watery. It's very, very thin. So we're gonna get started on some crepes. The dough needs to go into the fridge for about an hour. And while that is happening, I'm going to make the orange sauce that makes Crepe Suzette. So happy Mother's Day, and here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is now this recipe is by weight. So I have weighed 250 grams of flour, all-purpose flour. That works out to about 2 cups. If you have a scale, use it and measure the weight, but if you don't, about 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Next, we have 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And we're just gonna mix that together a little bit. We have 4 eggs that are going to go in here, but we're going to put them in one at a time and give them plenty of time to get incorporated into our flour. There's the first one. So, if you've been to France, you've seen crepes. They are very popular street food, actually, in a country that really isn't known for street food so much. But you can find people making crepes all over the place. And usually the crepe maker is about this big. We're not making them that big today. We're going to make about a, 8 to 10 inch crepe and fold it up for Crepe Suzette. Crepes can be used in so many ways. In France, Nutella is very popular filling for crepes, as is berries, lots of berries, jam. But also you can do savory crepes. So it doesn't just have to be a dessert. So you can pretty much think of just about anything you want to put inside a crepe. It's great with cream cheese and smoked salmon, or maybe crab and cream cheese. I've made so many different ones, and my family used to love them when my kids were little. All right, here's our 4th egg. And I think in France, they would pronounce it crepe, but I say crepes. All right, 4 eggs are now incorporated slowly. This whisk is not working very well. I'm gonna get my fingers down in there. Into our 2 cups flour, 250 grams, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now, next we're gonna add our milk. And this has to go really slowly because you do not want any lumps in your crepe batter. So that's another reason I want to make sure I get the eggs. See, it's pretty sticky right now, but believe me, it's going to be nice and thin before we start cooking the crepes on top of the stove. Okay, now we have 500 milliliters of milk, if you can weigh it out in that way, which comes to, it's just under about 2.5 cups. So, and also you might want to hold back a little and just kind of eyeball it, make sure it's the right consistency, and then you can always add a little bit more if if you need it. So here is our 500 milliliters of milk. I'm going to try just a little bit for starters. I'm using whole milk today. You could use 2%. Right, I'm going to add a little bit more, and while I'm whisking this, I'm going to take 125 grams of butter and I'm going to melt it in the microwave. And we'll keep adding. Now, you can buy crepe pans specifically for making crepes, but I am just using one of my skillets today. It's the size I like. I've made little tiny crepes before too, but, oops, better check the butter. But I don't have a special pan for this. I don't really make it enough for that to be something I should do. All right, we're gonna take that out. It's not quite melted all the way, but I think it will as it sits here for a second. Oh, that smells yummy. Okay, still got a little more milk to go here. And now I'm gonna make sure that I'm working any lumps I see. You do not want lumpy crepes. Oh no, that would be bad. Years ago, I was a caterer. Have I ever mentioned that? I'm not sure. I owned a catering company called Cuisine by Lorene. That was me. And crepes actually was one of the things I made the most for my customers. I had a lot of customers who were tailgating, also customers who were political campaign fundraisers. I did some weddings too, of course, but for the tailgating before a football game, this was something I made all the time. So we would usually have a savory one, maybe crab and cream cheese, sometimes smoked salmon, even shrimp, like a shrimp salad wrapped up inside a crepe. And then we always had a sweet one with berries and whipped cream. So you can do so much with them. All right, we're gonna end up using all the milk, and I think the consistency is pretty good, actually. I still see a few lumps in there. But now I'm going to stick this in the fridge. Oop, I haven't put the butter in. Oh, so important. Nice and warm. 125 grams of butter, nice and slow, our last ingredient. Gosh, I'm glad I remembered that. That wouldn't have been good. Okay, there it is. Get that all mixed together. You can't make a French dish without butter. It's in everything. All right, now our batter is going to go into the fridge for an hour. I'm going to clean up here and come back and show you how to make the orange sauce. Okay, our batter is still in the fridge, but I'm going to take it out in just a moment, and I'm going to get the orange sauce started. So in this pan, I have 1 tablespoon of butter. I don't want to get this too hot. And I have used my juicer to squeeze the juice of 2 oranges, but I reserved 2 tablespoons of orange juice, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that in just a second. So into this pan goes the juice of 2 oranges, which I would say is a little more than a cup of orange juice. Fresh, lovely orange juice. I am adding a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And now we'll let that get all lovely and reduced just a little bit. And while that's happening, I reserved 2 tablespoons of orange juice, and to that I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and I'm going to mix that all together and get the lumps out while this is cooking on the stove. So our sauce is looking really lovely. I'm going to show it to you. The brown sugar is a nice color, and now it's reduced just a tiny bit. I didn't boil it, but I'm on a medium heat. And now our orange juice that I mixed with the cornstarch, that's gonna thicken it up really nice. In that goes. And we'll give that a minute. And then I'm gonna set this aside and make the crepes, and we'll be done. Okay, here we go on our crepes. I just made one. It turned out pretty good. I think it's a little bit thick. I'm using about 1/3 of a cup, measuring cup here. I'm usually just take a hold of my pan. My pan is pretty hot now that I've already cooked one. I pour the batter in there and I twirl it around a little bit, and I'm going to turn the heat down a little. I'm right at medium. My stove, as I've mentioned before, gets really, really hot. You don't want to walk away from this. You'll see the edges start to curl a little bit and brown up a little bit, and then you'll know. But this first one turned out pretty good, and I'm gonna have more batter than we need for Crepe Suzette today. But guess what? You can freeze these. They freeze really lovely. I put a little bit of parchment paper or wax paper between each one and put them in the freezer. Okay, we're gonna see if we're ready here. Oh yeah, that one looks better than the first one, I think. Gotta get a hold of it. Nice. And next week, I'm going to show you a savory crepe recipe. So today we're doing a dessert crepe recipe, and I'll freeze the rest of these, and we'll do a savory crepe recipe next Tuesday. So you have to come back for that. So let me finish this up, and I'll show you how we plate. So our crepes look amazing. And when you serve Crepe Suzette, it's tradition to fold them in quarter like this. And so I have 4 of them here on a plate. And we have our delicious orange sauce, which is nice and thick. And I'm going to just pour that right on top. Oh, that just smells amazing. And I have some grated orange peel that we're going to put all over the beautiful plating. Now, wouldn't this be a beautiful surprise for your mom on Mother's Day? Or make it for yourself, or make it any day. French Crepe Suzette, easy and delicious. Come back next Tuesday and we're going to do chicken and mushroom crepes. See you then.